Welcome to you all of my family and friends. My name is Reverend Kamah Thoronka of Kamah Thoronka Ministries. God has given us an opportunity to come together as a family, come together as a unit, come together as brothers and sisters to share in His Word. And Thoronka Ministries is going to be bringing you a whole lot of the beauty of God's words. I urge you to find some time and follow me on all of my social media handles, Kamah Thoronka Ministries or Kamah Thoronka, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube channels. Just go there and be blessed. Be blessed. Hear messages of hope. Hear messages of joy. Hear messages of peace. We are in such dire and catastrophic times. And God has given us an opportunity to be able to connect together. This is a beautiful opportunity. Before we couldn't do this. But now the Word of God is going to come to you live. So if you need salvation, if you need redemption, if you need that peace, if you need to hear the voice of God, join me every week. There will be a message for you. I guarantee you that your life will never be the same. God bless you. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon to you. My name is Reverend Kamah Thoronka. I come back to you to share the Word of God with you. I pray that each of you who are tuning in to this broadcast is ready to take off and ready to hear another powerful word that God has given me to give you. Last week, if you were with us, you heard what it was or what it felt like to survive in a storm. We spoke about a storms of life that rages all over the world, and people are finding themselves in such critical situations. And today, buckle up. We're about to talk about when you find yourself in the storm, what do you do? In this case that I'm going to read to you from the book of Genesis, chapter 32, verses 22 to 32, we talk and read about a man called Jacob who said when he was in the midst of the storm to God, I will not let you go until you bless me. So therefore, my theme I will be speaking on today is, I will not let you go until you bless me. Strictly taken from the mouth of Jacob. Ladies and gentlemen, I continuously want to pause and thank my family and all of those who are watching, especially my husband and children who have been a huge support, and my father, Reverend Dr. Daniel Grimes-Gway, who has spiritually guided me until now. He's watching or will watch this broadcast. I thank you, Dad, and I am so grateful for what you have done to impart on my life. I will not let you go until you bless me. We are going to look at the text in Genesis chapter 32, verses 22 through 32. The read as follows. And he arose up that night and took his 2 wives and his 2 woman servant and his 11th son and passed over to the ford of Jabbok. And he took them and sent them over the brook and sent over what he had. And Jacob was left alone, and there he wrestled with a man with him until the breaking of the day. And when he saw that he prevailed not against him, he touched the hollow of his thigh, and the hollow of Jacob's thigh was out of joint as he wrestled with him. And as he said, let me go, for the day breaketh. And he said, I will not let you go until you bless me. And he said unto him, what is thy name? And Jacob said, Jacob. And he said, thy name shall be called no more Jacob, but Israel, for as a prince hast thou power with God, and with men hast thou prevailed. And Jacob asked him and said, tell me, I pray thee, thy name. And he said, therefore is it that thou dost ask after my name. And he blessed him there. And Jacob called the name of the place Peniel, for I have seen God face to face, and my life was preserved. And as he passed over Peniel, the sun arose upon him, and he halted upon his thigh. Therefore the children of Israel eat not of the sinew which shrank, which is upon the hollow of the thigh of Jacob until this day, because he touched the hollow of Jacob's thigh in the sinew that shrank. Let the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable in thy sight, O Lord, my rock and my redeemer. There are few times in our lives when we somehow deviate from the book of Ephesians when it talked about wrestling not with flesh and blood, but instead of principalities and wickedness in high places. Meaning that there are times our fight cannot be blamed on the enemy or the devil, but God himself. The question then becomes, how do you handle it when God himself puts you in a fight for your life? And what I have now come to discover as real, in a real personal way, is that the will of God sometimes will knock you out and preserve you. It designs a fight for you not to destroy you, but to build you up and to strengthen you. My brothers and my sister, it is far easy when things are going wrong for us to blame the devil for it. It's very easy because the devil, we all know, is designed to come to steal and kill. So everything that is wrong in our lives, we seem to blame the devil. And I'm sure the devil would be very much happy to take credit for every bad things that happen in our lives because that is his will. But I come to tell you there is a hard place to understand when God places you in a painful position, a position that can literally make you or take you out. I believe that each one of us have had the opportunity to come face to face with a fight that seems to change the trajectory of our lives, one that was designed to change who you are. But how do you reconcile with the fact that the very thing that was designed to take you out was designed for God to empower you? How do you reconcile the fact that you have to anchor in God and God has permitted something to happen to you? Some of us have find ourselves in a situation where we're wondering if this is the permissive will of God, why? There is a painful place when the permissive will allows the worst to happen to you. It is difficult pill to swallow. Although we understand that being in a place is a peculiar posture with God, but if not being with God is even more difficult. Today, I did not come to preach again to people who perhaps have never faced anything in their lives. I did not come to preach to people who do not need the hand of God, who has never been caught in a fight. I come to preach to people who can identify with Jacob today and know that they have found themselves in the fight for their lives and they have to rely on God and have told God, I will not let you go until you bless me. Today, I come to speak to those people who, if you are real honest with yourself, you know that a year ago, a week ago, a day ago, you found yourself wrestling in a situation that only God you could turn to and say, God, I'm not going to let you go. My brothers and my sisters, I come to make this case that the challenge of God is not designed to break you. Never ever has it been designed to break you or to take you out. The plans God said in Jeremiah to Jeremiah, I know the plans that I have for you. If he knows the plans that he has for you, Bible tells me they are not plans of evil, but plans for you to prosper. And if you are trusting in him to prosper in this season, you will go through your fight. The fight was designed as the ultimate benefit for Jacob. Genesis 32 is quite simply one of the most perplexing stories of the entire Bible to me. This narrative in which Jacob wrestles with a spiritual being. Theologians may somehow call this the theophany of God, where God appears as an angel in man form to fight with Jacob and gave him a new name. It's both hard to interpret and yet monumentally important, which is a text that changes the viewpoint of many Jews and Christian faith. In short, Jacob's life was culminated in situations that has finally come to face him. Finally come to face his limitations. Finally, Jacob, his entire life has been one of deceit. Bible would tell you from his young age, he has used his intellect and his cunning behavior to take advantage of his brother, his father, his father-in-law. He has taken advantage and he has now been amassed with wealth and ultimately married a beautiful woman that he had longed for. But now Jacob now is in the fight for his life. As a backdrop to this story, Jacob packs up his entire family. And in the middle of the night, he'd head over to what is called the Jabbok River, and he decides he was going to leave them while he goes over to prepare himself to meet his brother Esau. Imagine Esau was the one that Jacob had stolen his birthright, and they had not spoken since because his mother orchestrated and he fled away. So he had not seen his brother, but he had heard news that his brother was coming after him. He heard news that his brother was coming to deal with him. So Jacob wanted to isolate himself to be able to communicate with God. Sometimes when God is preparing you, as I always preach, to shift your life, he has to isolate you into a place where you have his attention, where you're going to do nothing but to succumb to his word. He needs to isolate some of us right now. Some of us are too distracted with things that is going on around us. He needs to get us into a place where he can speak to us without distraction. Jacob was traveling with his family, but God wanted him to be by himself to face the realities of his past. Esau pledged to kill his brother. Esau was not joking. Esau was approach him with all the men. Esau did not make an empty threat. You all know far too long, far too much. And when someone has made a threat against you, there are some people where their threats and their words cannot be taken for granted. Esau was coming to meet his brother. Clearly, he was not planning a warm family reception to meet Jacob. Jacob is desperate. For the first time in his life in biblical history, as I read the text, that Jacob, in great fear and distress, decided to pray to God to save him. When you hang over in chapter 32, verse 7, from what we know from this text, this is actually the first recorded prayer of Jacob to God. Most of us here find ourselves like Jacob. We don't get on our knees to begin to pray until the situation is so bad and is so worse that we cannot find anyone else. We do not give it to God before the situation happens. We give it to him when we have lost every control over it. So Jacob finds himself isolated and wanting to communicate now with God. Instead of praying to God before he went on the journey, he gets to a place where he now needed to isolate himself. And he prays to God for God to save him. He's desperate. His back is against the wall. Until our enemies are encamping against us, most of us don't call on the name of the Almighty God. David, when he was about to face Goliath, he prayed before he went to the battlefield. And that battle was won before he even got on the field. And that battle has been known as the greatest and fastest battle ever fought. Because here you have a little boy that is standing in front of a fully armed, protected giant, slinging a rock at an angle that defies gravity and kills him. Jacob is in fear. Jacob is in panic. But instead of God coming to his aid, instead of God resolving the issues for him, because I can imagine he's scared and he's asking for God's intervention, as many of us prayed expecting God to disappear with the issue, to have the issue disappear. God does not operate in our time. Although he created time, he does not operate in the essence of our time. And God's response in this scenario throws me off. Jacob is praying, and God picks a fight with him. He began to challenge him. My guess is Jacob is in a ring by himself, facing every demon he had created over his life, facing every issue that he has created, facing every circumstances. There are times in your life when in that midnight hour you have to face those demons that has gripped your mind, those depressions, those addictions, and those grief addictions that has taken you way too far from God's glory. You have to look those demons in the eye and begin to fight. Fight for your life. And sometimes when we find ourselves in the fight for our lives, instead of pushing forward, we quit. When things get rough on our jobs, we quit. When things get rough in our marriages, we quit. When things get rough with our finances, we quit. We quit. But Jacob is fighting. He realizes at some point, I'm not fighting an ordinary man. He realizes at some point, this is not a human being that I'm fighting. He began to push. He began to fight. I urge you right now that whatever fight you find yourself in, do not quit. You keep pushing and pushing. There will be a daybreak when the Lord is going to change your name. Jacob began to fight, and he continued to fight. Even though the angel was getting the best of him, he continued to fight. The situation will not take him under. And when he realized that this is not a human that I'm fighting, and when day was about to break, Bible tells me that no one sees the face of God and lives. So God tells Jacob, let me go because day is about to break. And Jacob realizing that I have the Lord's attention. Jesus is on the main line. Tell him what you want. You have the attention of God staring you right in the face. What do you say to him? And because the angel wanted to protect him from death, he breaks his hip. Bible tells me that he injured the socket of his hip. But Jacob did not quit. Jacob kept fighting, and he looked at the angel and said, I'm not going to let you go until you bless me. I'm going to hold on to this fight. It doesn't matter how long it takes. I'm going to hold on to this fight. It doesn't matter how long it's going to take. I'm going to not let this battle take me. I'm not going to let this cancer take me. I'm not going to let this depression take me over. I've been struggling in this divorce, and I'm not going to let this divorce take me over. I know my children are going wayward, but I'm not going to let drug addiction take me over. I will not let you go until you bless me. And Jacob hung in there with the fight. You got to keep going on no matter how tedious the fight is. Despite his flaws and despite everything that he had experienced, Jacob held on. And the angel asked him one of the most profound questions that I want to leave with you today. What is your name? As if he did not know his name. But sometimes in life, we must acknowledge that which has caused us pain. You must acknowledge it and call it by name. It's not that God did not know the name of Jacob. It's not that God did not know who he was or who he is. He wanted him to acknowledge the pain and the deceit and everything that he was. He had to put it in the atmosphere because God was about to now take it away from him. What is your name? What is your name? Jacob said, my name is Jacob. My name is Jacob. I was the one that had been deceiving my brother and took his birthright. My name is Jacob. I am the one that has been cunning my father. I am Jacob, the one that mother loved him so much that she helped me deceive my father. I am Jacob, the one that has been on the run from my family. I am Jacob, the one that is so scared that my brother will kill me. I am Jacob. I am Jacob today. I'm Jacob the deceiver. I'm Jacob the con artist. I'm Jacob. My name is Jacob. My name is a prostitute that everybody knew me as someone who was a prostitute. My name is a deceiver. My name is Jacob. They know you as someone that's being broke. They've known you as someone that didn't have anything. They know you as someone who did not even have children. They know you as someone who did not have even 2 pennies to rub together. They knew you as one thing. But God is about to conduct a spiritual surgery today. He's going to conduct a spiritual surgery and change who you are and change your name today. Hold on. He will change your financial situation. When he changes your name, he changes your address. When he changes your name, he changes who you are. When he changes your name, he changes what people knew you as. When he changes your name, he changes everything about you. They knew you as someone who slept around. That's what they knew you as. But God is about to spiritually give you a surgery that when they see you, they will never remember what you used to be. My name is Jacob. The sun was beginning to rise. Jacob is now hurt. He has now wrestled all night. The Bible tells me that although there were no doctors to diagnose his problem, there was no orthopedic surgeon to diagnose his problem, but he was in pain. The Bible said that Jacob got up to walk and he walked with a limp. He had agony, but he walked. The Bible